we have this expression, root into bracket x minus 3 cube minus 64 is equal to 0. And then the question demands that we solve this equation. So we have to solve this equation. Are we okay? So this is a typical example of an expression or an equation involving surd. We call it surd because it is dealing with root signs. You can see a root sign over here, and that is why we call it a surd. All right, so let's proceed to look at the solution to this particular problem. So I write down my solution. So I repeat my question. I have the square root of x minus 3 in bracket, then cube minus 64 is equal to 0. So this is the expression that I have. Now, for me to be able to solve this equation, the first thing I need to do is to send the 64 over here, the negative 64, to the other side of the equal to sign. I am doing this to make the expression or the equation much simpler for me to solve. So the first thing I do is I move the negative 64 across the equal to sign to the other side. Now once it goes there, the negative becomes positive because we are moving the number across the equal to sign. So from here, I will have my root of x minus 3 cube, the same as I have over here. Then my equal to sign will come, and then my negative 64 comes here and becomes positive 64. So this is now the expression that I have. Now from here, for me to be able to solve and find the value of x, I first of all need to get rid of this root sign in the first place. So in order for me to do that, I have to square both sides. So I need to square both sides for me to be able to remove the the root sign that I have over here. So from here, I square both sides. That is the next thing I am going to do. I have to square both sides. So in doing that, I will have the expression x minus 3 cube here is equal to 64, and then I put square here. I square both sides, and so I can now continue to solve my problem. Now what happens is that the fact that I've squared both sides means that the square here will take care of the root sign over here. So all I will be left with is what I have over here, that is x minus 3 cube, and that will be equal to 64 squared. Now 64 squared will give us 4096. So this is after we square 64, this is the expression that we are going to have. So I believe up until now we've understood all that we've done so far. So the first step we took over here was to send the 64 to the other side of the equal to sign, and we are doing this because we want to have the expression in a much more friendly manner for us to be able to solve. After that, the next step we took was to get rid of the root sign over here, and we do that by squaring both sides of the equation. So we introduce the square to both sides, and then the square will take care of the root sign over here, and then it will square the 64 over here, and this is what we have after that expression. Now from here, for us to find x over here, we need to also get rid of the cube that the expression x minus 3 is raised to. Now to do that, we can either expand the bracket, okay, raised to the power cube, or we try to find the cubic root of both sides. Now it so happens that if you find the number or the value 4096, you can find a perfect cubic value for it. Okay, you can have a number raised to power 3 that will give you exactly 4096, okay, using your calculator obviously. So from here, what we will do is that we'll find the cubic root of both sides. So we'll apply the cubic root to both sides of this expression. So this is what we are going to have. So from here, So from here, we are going to have something that looks like this. So for cubic root, we'll have something that looks like this. So I'm applying cubic root to this expression. So I will have x minus 3 cube, and that will be equal to, then I apply the cubic root to the value 4096 as well. So this is what I have after applying the cubic root to both sides. Okay, so from here the next step is apply cubic root on both sides. So that is what we did. We applied cubic root to both sides. So what will happen over here is that the cubic root will take care of the cube over here for us. So all that will be left with will be the value x minus 3, what we have in the curly bracket over here. And then over here, the cubic root of the value 4096 is 16. So this side, or the right hand side, is equal to 16, the number 16. So from here we are almost basically done, because we have here x minus 3 is equal to 16. Now this expression is in a much simpler format for us to solve. So all I have to do over here is to make sure my x stand alone, and I can do that by moving the negative 3 over here to the right hand side of this expression, and I will get my value for x. So to do that, I repeat my x, and this is equal to the 16 is over here. Then I move the negative 3 to this side of the equation, then that becomes plus 3 over here. So from here, all I have to do is simply add 16 and 3, and that will give me my answer. So the value of x over here is equal to 19, as we can see over here. So this is the answer for this particular expression. So this is the answer for our question. Now you can check the validity of this answer, or you can check whether the answer is correct or not by inserting the value 19 into this expression to see if that is actually correct or not. So if you use your calculator and you insert the value 19 in place of x over here, so 19 minus 3, that will give you 16, and then 16 cube will give you the value 4096, and then the root of that will give you 64, and so therefore 64 minus 64 will give us 0 as our answer. So therefore our answer x, which is equal to 19, is the right answer for this particular question. All right, any questions so far? We can leave the questions in the comment section. Okay, so in the absence of any question, we'll proceed to look at the next example. So for the next example, we have to solve the equation. So we have to solve the equation. We have to solve the equation. Something similar to what we did first. The root of x minus 4 cube minus 125, and this is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the next question we are supposed to solve. Okay, so as always, or as we did in the previous example, the first thing we have to do is to move the negative 125 to the other side of the equal to sign before we proceed to solve the problem. So that is what I am going to do. So in order for me to solve this problem, the first thing I will do is to move the negative 125 to this side of the equation. So I have the root of x minus 4 cube will be equal to, now I have 125 over here. 125. So this is what I have. Now from here, the next thing I need to do is to try and get rid of the square roots over here. The square root sign over here, I need to try and get rid of it. Now I can do that by squaring both sides. So it therefore means that I will apply square to both sides. So I'll square both sides, the left hand side and then the right hand side. That is what I am going to do. square both sides. Now what happens is that the square over here will take care of the root sign over here. So all I'll be left with from the left hand side will now be x minus 4 raised to the power cube, and this is equal to, now I have the value 125 squared, and so I need to compute that in my calculator. So 125 squared, or 125 multiplied by itself, will give us the value 15,625. So we have here 15625 as the value of 125 squared. Now what we need to do from here, now that we've found the square of 125, what we need to do from here is that because we want to find the value of x, we need to get rid of everything around x. Now the next obstacle we have here is the cube over here, the value 3 over here. We need to get rid of that as well. Now to do that, we need to apply cubic root across both sides. So what I will do from here is that I will apply cubic root on both sides. So if I do that, I will have the cubic root of x minus 4 raised to the power cube is equal to the cubic root of 15,625. So this is what I have. Now from here, all I need to do is to proceed and simplify this. Now mind you, this is cubic root and not 3 root, the value inside the root. Okay, it's cubic root. So from here, what will happen is that the cube over here will take care of the cubic root over here. So I'll be left with x minus 4 on this side, and this will be equal to, now if I use my calculator and I find the cubic root of 15,625, I am going to get the value 25 as my answer over here. So now I have x minus 4 is equal to 25 as my expression, and from here I can simply go ahead to send the negative 4 to the other side of the equal to sign, and then I can now obtain the value of x. So the value of x from here will be equal to, x is equal to 25. Then the negative 4 over here, I send it to the other side of the equal to sign. It becomes positive 4. And so therefore, the value of x over here will now be 25 plus 4, and that will give us the value 9. So the value 9 is the answer for this particular expression.